Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday. Well, there's so much to know and even more to see. From music and humor and poetry. We're so glad that you're here and we hope that you stay. 'Cause our Live Friday show will always make your day. Live Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday. Hello there, boys and girls and dads and me. Welcome to our Live Friday show. We are so glad to be here with you live again, yet again for our 18th episode. I know, this is amazing. We have had such a long season together, and this has been great. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Mr. Tom, and this is Jimmy. And we have the home video variety show. I know that's a little bit of a mouthful, but we're here to entertain, educate, and encourage boys and girls. Of course, if you take classical conversations, you'll really dig our stuff. But you know, we've got a lot of things. We've got old music and hymns and folk songs we like to sing. We love poetry. You're going to get a taste of all of that today because, all right, we've got a big program today, so I'm excited. So I'm not going to talk all that much because we have poetry, of course, with Jimmy. We have jokes with Grandpa. We have music, of course. We're going to have music. We're going to hear some singing from Mr. Phil and myself. I'll go and join him. But we're going to hear about a medieval story of Marco Polo. Do you know who that is? Anyway, we're going to hear about him. And we're going to read a letter from one of our fans. You're going to hear about a great book. And then, of course, last of all, and certainly the best of all, we have a special guest today, Abby Herche, a director, a CC director from out of Maryland. And she is just a terrific and creative person. You're just going to love her. Anyway, so we have all of that today, but we are going to start out with a scripture verse and a little Bible lesson. So here's Freddie.
Good morning, boys and girls. Well, it's time for another Bible lesson. And my lesson today is very simple. And it comes from John chapter 14, verse 6. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Yeah, that's really important to remember. Jesus was explaining that he is the only way to everlasting life. And you'll find there are many religions, many people believe many different types of things, but we know as Christians, and we have faith, that it is only in Jesus that we put our hope for eternal life. So we remember scripture verses like John 14 verse 6 because it's the Bible that guides us and leads us on the right path. Well, that's your Bible lesson for this week. Remember, Jesus is the only way.
Thank you so much, Freddie. Yes, it is absolutely true. Jesus is the only way. Boys and girls, as you grow up and you get older, you're going to meet a lot of adults that like to take Jesus and blend him with other religions, or they'll try to tell you, you know, religion's like a mountain and everybody just has different paths. And not buying that. Nope, not us here, not your parents, not us, not for people who truly have faith in Jesus. He is the only way. And so that scripture verse is going to be a great one. We do have a coloring page. It's free on our YouTube channel, on our homevideovarietyshow.com. You can find our webpage and it will take you to that. There's a bunch of free pages for you, coloring sheets there for you. Anyway, and I see we also have some friends that are joining us in the chat. So hello, Charlie and Ari from Ohio, and some other folks in there too that are saying hello. That's just terrific. The chat is open and you're welcome just to say hello or ask a question. Next week, just to let you know, as we're more on a spiritual emphasis, next week is Holy Week. Of course, you know, there's Easter, Resurrection Sunday, there's Good Friday. We have a special Good Friday, Live Friday, like we did last year, where we answer the question, why is Good Friday good? Why is it good? Now, probably most of you boys and girls, you already know the answer to that question anyway, but we like to give a gospel presentation every Good Friday. And so we will do the same thing this coming week. And we'll sing a couple of hymns together, and we'll also share the gospel message. So that'll be next week. And now let's hear some jokes. All right, let's hear a joke. Here's Grandpa.
Hello, everyone. It's time for some jokes and riddles with me, Grandpa. I hope you're ready to hear some really funny jokes. Okay, here we go. Now, how many of you have cats? Boys and girls, do you have a cat? Isn't it so soft and cuddly? Oh. Well, what do you call a pile of cats? A pile of cats? You call that a mountain. A mountain. Now, why don't eggs tell jokes? Well, because they might crack up. And of course, what do you call cheese that isn't yours? Yes, it's nacho cheese. You knew that one, didn't you? Now then, why did the teddy bear say no to dessert? Well, because he was stuffed already. Yes, he was, that teddy bear. All right, and for our last one, what do you call a belt made out of watches? Yeah, that's right, a belt made out of watches. What do you call that? Well, you call that a waste of time. Get it? The belt goes around your waist and it tells the time. A waste of time. Well, thanks for listening to those jokes, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, Grandpa. I'm sure some boys and girls, some of you actually know those jokes, but like the nacho cheese, I think I've heard that one for years, but maybe there was a new one that you could hear, right? About the pile of cats that's a mountain. Anyway, well, in addition to the little chat feature we have here during the Live Friday, we also hear from you boys and girls from your letters, and we just love getting letters. You can always write to us at P.O. Box 520971, Longwood, Florida. But I have a letter here today that I'm going to read, and it's from Brennan, and he lives in the Sunflower State. You know what the Sunflower State is? Now, I know we live in Florida. That's the Sunshine State. But the Sunflower State? It's Kansas. In case you didn't know. I looked it up right before we started. I don't have these things right on my mind. Okay, and he says, to Home Video Variety Show, that's us. Dear people, that's me and you. That's us. He says, thank you for doing these videos. My favorite people, that's you, is our Jimmy and Grandpa. Yeah. Of course, right? Aren't they? They're so great. I love them too. They're great. I learn I learn much faster with you than I do with the other YouTube channels. And thank you for that. Of course, thank you. There are many great YouTube channels that you can get your CC information from, probably. But of course, having just it with your tutor and your parents and making up silly songs there's nothing better than your own family right with you. That's the best way. But thank you. We do appreciate that. Just, my mom likes that you use music from the countries that we are learning about. Yes, you're very welcome. Yes, I know. I enjoyed it. That was very important to me as I got further along. I really wanted to, how can we make this song about India? How can we make it sound like it's from India? How could we, that was very important. I enjoyed doing that. That was neat. Anyway, and he says, thank you. And please do more videos. Brennan, he's 10 years old and he's from Kansas. So thank you so much, Brennan. Yes, we will be making more videos. In fact, right, we're working on some music right now this week, and we hope to have a video out. Anyway, let us, now that we've got your letter, it's almost time for our special guest. I know you're waiting to see her, waiting to meet her. First, let us, let's hear a poem from Jimmy. Jimmy's going to go out to the garden, and he's going to tell you about a certain... Oh, yeah. There you go. All right. Here's a poem about a particular insect that may or may not live in your yard.
Here, a poem, Praying Mantis, by Mary Ann Huberman. That praying mantis over there is really not engaged in prayer. That praying mantis that you see is really praying with an E. It preys upon the garter snake. It preys upon the bumblebee. It preys upon the cabbage worm, the wasp, the fly, the moth, the flea. And sometimes, if its need is great, it even preys upon its mate. With prey and praying both so endless, it tends to end up rather friendless, and seldom is commended much, except by gardeners and such. That's Praying Mantis by Mary Ann Huberman. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yes, the praying mantis. Did you know about that, boys and girls? Whenever I think of the praying mantis, I'm always like, oh, I used to love collecting those when I was a kid, right? Because they look so interesting and they don't really bite or sting you, at least not for humans. But I didn't realize how aggressive they were. Anyway, whew, praying mantis. Think about that next time you're out in your yard and you see one. Actually, they're really, really great bugs to collect and to look at and to hold in your hand for a little while because they really are rather gentle to us human beings, at least to us. Anyway, Jimmy, I'm glad you're back. So, okay. Well, listen, boys and girls, I am so glad to be able to present to you our special guest for today. Of course, some of you may personally know, Abby. I don't personally know her, but have met her through the internet, and I was first introduced to her, I think, when I saw one of her YouTube or one of those Instagram reels, I think, and it had one of her funny little creative stories that she was telling, and she was acting as a different. Anyway, I should tell you, boys and girls, when suddenly when you see people that you realize are similar to you, you just kind of have like this connection that you often don't have with everybody else. You're just like, oh, that person, they laugh at the same things I would laugh at. They seem entertained. They seem to love the same things I do. And so, have you ever had that with a friend before, or someone you kind of see them doing something and you go, I think I would really like to be friends with them. Anyway, so I've got to know Abby just a little bit, and now if you have not heard of her before, well, here's a little video presentation about Abby Herche, or also known as that CC Mom.
Hi, Tom. Thanks so much for wanting me to be included in your variety show. My name is Abby Herche. I've been a Foundations and Essentials Director for Westminster, Maryland for the past 2 years. This fall will be my first time directing our community as a licensed community director. So we will be transitioning to that new model for classical conversations. And I'm very excited to be over the challenge programs this coming year. I really enjoy immersing myself in the content and pedagogy of our curriculum. And what that looks like for me is making sketches and skits based on personifying the cycles themselves. So I have created characters that act and react the way that each cycle might. So for cycle 1, you see them participating in very ancient kingdom type behavior where the things that they like and the things that they express resemble someone that might have been from those ancient civilizations. And then cycle 2 is much more medieval. So they like knighthood and they like armor. They enjoy anything about kingdoms and castles. And so when you think about the medieval era and cycle 2, that's what you're going to see personified in my character for cycle 2. And cycle 3, which I'm excited to introduce more for this coming year because we are moving into cycle 3, is much more patriotic. And I have a promotional video for cycle 3 starting where you see that they have red, white, and blue noise, and that's how they fall asleep at night. So just adding those little elements of humor to personify each cycle has been a big motivation for me, and I think it makes it more fun for my kids to see me participate in that, and for them to be able to even participate in those sketches with me has been really fun. There was one where I had my daughter participate in a sketch with me, and I really enjoyed doing that with her. I really look forward to seeing how this can transition into some more of my marketing ideas and things that I've used to market my community. I get involved in downtown Westminster every summer by plugging into their farmers market and having a booth set up there to talk about our programs with classical conversations, and being able to talk to families directly is the best way to market any community, because then they're getting to really feed off of the energy and what it looks like and what it feels like. So I love being able to make those connections in a very tangible way, and the farmers market has been a really great way for me to do that. When I started this page, it was actually because I wanted to sell cycle-specific pins. And I do still generate those, but it's on much more of a personal basis lately, where I will make those for different events that we're hosting at community. We made specific pins for our science fair participants in Challenge A when they were doing their capstone projects with the science fair. And I also will give them out to parents if it's their first tour in a specific cycle. And then they can also be little prizes for kids for birthdays and just fun things like that. So I love the versatility that this position has offered me to be able to just manifest different talents that I possess, whether that be video editing skills, audio editing, design. And I love being able to feed myself into what I'm also passionate about with homeschooling our children and pursuing that with my family. So that has been a remarkable part of my journey. I love that it just keeps transitioning into something bigger and better. I'm really excited to move into another year with.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Abby. So that is a bit about Abby Herche. Now, again, if you know her personally, what a blessing it must be to know her. You know, she didn't say this in her video, but when I was talking to her, I found out that she's also a musician and she plays keyboard at her church. So just a very, very creative person. And I bet there's a lot of other moms, dads, directors, and tutors that are involved in all different communities. This is really the beauty of Classical Conversations and many of these homeschool co-ops, is that you get to you get to have very creative people just involved and making things fun and interesting. And we really, really appreciate Abby. And the RCC director, she's a wonderful lady, but dang, it would be terrific to also be in the same community as Abby and her family. And I'm sure she has a very creative family as well. And we're so glad to know her. So now, you can find more about her. Again, you go to That CC Mom on, look that up on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, and or That Classical Conversations Mom, That CC Mom. Just look up that handle and you should be able to find her content. And she always has something good to share. So be sure you will be encouraged. So definitely go check her out. So now, all right, we need to keep moving along here. We're going to learn about somebody important today during our Medieval Minds. Perhaps you know about Marco. That's right. Marco Polo, more than just a game that children play in the pool. He was actually a person that traveled a really long way, and Grandpa is going to tell you about him.
Marco Polo was a famous traveler and merchant from the city of Venice, Italy, who lived during the Middle Ages. He was born in the year 1254 into a family of merchants. His father, Niccolo Polo, and his uncle, Maffeo Polo, were already experienced travelers who had journeyed to the Far East, even reaching the court of a powerful ruler named Kublai Khan, who, by the way, is the grandson of Genghis Khan, the emperor of the Mongol Empire. When Marco was still a young boy, his father and uncle left on one of these long trips, and Marco did not meet his father again until he was about 15 years old. In 1271, when Marco Polo was just a teenager, he set out on a remarkable journey with his father and uncle. They traveled along the Silk Road, a network of trade routes that connected Europe to Asia. Their journey took them across deserts, mountains, and vast plains, and it lasted many years. Along the way, Marco saw many different cultures, languages, and customs that were very different from those in Europe. Eventually, the Polos reached the court of Kublai Khan in China. The emperor was impressed by Marco Polo's intelligence and curiosity, and he trusted him with important tasks. Marco Polo worked as a messenger and official for the emperor, traveling throughout the empire on his behalf. This allowed Marco to explore even more of Asia, including places that few Europeans had ever seen before. He wrote about the great cities, the use of paper money, and the amazing wealth of the East, which seemed almost unbelievable to people back home. After many years abroad, Marco Polo finally returned to Venice in 1295. Not long after his return, he was captured during a war between Venice and the city of Genoa. While he was in prison, Marco Polo met a writer named Rustichello, and together they wrote a book about his travels. This book, often called The Travels of Marco Polo, introduced Europeans to the wonders of Asia and inspired many future explorers, including Christopher Columbus. Marco Polo died in 1324, but his stories continue to influence the world for centuries. His journeys helped Europeans learn more about distant lands and cultures, and his book remains one of the most famous travel accounts in history. Today, Marco Polo is remembered as one of the greatest explorers of all time, whose curiosity and courage opened the door to new discoveries. In his book, The Travels of Marco Polo, we see all the places that Marco Polo traveled to, and here they all are. Venice, Italy, of course, his home city, and the Mediterranean area, Jerusalem, Armenia, Persia, Hormuz, Afghanistan, Central Asia and the mountains, and the Gobi Desert. He traveled to what is now modern-day Beijing, and all throughout many parts of China, and regions near the Yangtze River. He also traveled to Vietnam, Myanmar, Malaysia, Sumatra, and possibly parts of India and Sri Lanka. Then he sailed across the South China Sea, through the Indian Ocean, and then overland again to Venice, back home. That is a very long road trip. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Medieval Minds. I hope you found it enlightening, and please join us again for another episode of Medieval Minds, where we will learn more about prominent persons of the Middle Ages.
Well, that is a very, very long walk. Yes, it is, to go all that way. So Marco Polo is quite an interesting person to learn about. Some of the things that he has had in his travel book were debated. Was he really there? You know, some of the stuff that he claims that he did, is it true or not? But it's really, his life is worth a bit of a study. I'll give you a book in just a couple of minutes telling you about the life of Marco Polo. So just hang on for that. But first, I got to jump over to the next room. I'm going to join Mr. Phil, and we're going to sing some songs. All right, so boys and girls, I hope you have your voices ready to sing. And I lost connection here. Anyway, so I hope your voice is ready to sing, and I'm gonna jump right over there. Let's see, I gotta add the lyrics here. Just hang with me for 1 second. Okay, and all right, we should be good. All right, and we're live.
Hey there, boys and girls. What's up? It's me, Mr. Phil, and are you ready to sing some songs? That's terrific. That's just outstanding. Well, guess what? I'm out here on the porch today, out here in the green and brown of the outside, and let's get singing together, okay? We're gonna start with a song about Oceania, or Oceania, one of those, and it goes like this. Australia, Great Barrier Reef, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia. That's right, Oceania. Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, Oceania. Oceania. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Hey,
everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for singing along. Oceania. Let's see. What's some other songs that we could sing? Do you want to know what the states of matter are? We could sing that one.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's great.
What are the states of matter? The states of matter are. What are the states of matter? The states of matter are. They are solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Solid, of energy. You know what they are? What are two forms of energy? Kinetic and potential. Kinetic and potential. These are two forms of energy. What are two forms of energy?
What are two forms of energy?
Two forms of energy are kinetic and potential. Kinetic and potential. These are two forms of energy. One more time. What are two forms of energy? Two forms of energy are kinetic and potential. Kinetic and potential. These are two forms of energy. Alrighty. How about, okay, that's it for a song. Let's do an English song, okay? For those of you that are really strong at your English, what are the 5 cases of nouns?
Yeah.
The 5 cases of nouns: subject, direct object, indirect object, object of the preposition, and possessive. You like those hand motions? Possessive.
That was
right?
terrible. Oh, that was terrible.
Well, your tutor probably has some really good hand motions, but
I'm sure they
I like
do.
to think we have a pretty good song. Okay, here we go.
That's it, huh?
Okay. I think my voice has time for one more song.
Aww.
One more song, boys and girls. And
Just one more.
let's do a geography song. What's gonna? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's do
The
South Central Asia.
South
Yes.
Central Asia. Yes.
Just clap on that beat. Yeah, do that. Yeah. South Central Asia, South Central Asia, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, South Central Asia, South Central Asia, South Central Asia, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, South Central Asia. South Central Asia, South Central Asia, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, South Central Asia, South Central Asia, South Central Asia, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, South Central Asia. All right, that's South Central
All
Asia.
right, everybody. Yeah.
Boys and girls, thank you so much
Yeah.
for singing along.
Hey.
And
Yeah.
we'll be back next week
Yes.
with more singing.
Yes. Hey, give it up for Mr. Phil. He's
No,
had a
I'm
cold
good, I'm
lately.
good,
He's
good.
had a cold.
All right.
He's doing great. Sorry, I gave it to him.
Oh. All right. Okay. And we're back. Phew. All right. I've been running around the house today. Thank you, boys and girls, so much for joining us. Listen, if you're still with us, let me tell you about a great book. I know we're a little bit over our time today. I usually like to go about 30 minutes, but we're a little bit over. It's okay. um, and let me tell you about Marco Polo. It is a great story. You can find this at your local library by Russell Friedman. Includes maps and has a little bit more to the biography. There's so much more to know about Marco Polo and what we covered here in this program. So this book will help you even more. So it's probably meant for elementary age, maybe not so much, preschoolers, but your elementary and middle school kids will really like this. That's The Adventures of Marco Polo, written by Russell Friedman, and you can find it at your local library. And also on our Live Fridays, we'd like to thank our supporters, like the Falkenstein family. They have been our Patreon supporters for like 4 years, and we thank them very, very much for their support. And we just, it's great on our Patreon, because I make that like my own little like social media. I share behind the scenes things, but also more personal family things that I usually don't put anywhere else. And so it kind of helps our supporters feel like they're really part of our family in a way. So we appreciate the Falkenstein family very, very much. You are always welcome to join us on Patreon, or in other ways too. Again, we're trying to do more with this channel, and it costs money. So we thank you so much for your support and the support of the Falkenstein family. Okay, well, our time is pretty much over. Hello to everybody, all that talked in the chat today. I want to give a special hello to Lucas, Leah, Liam, and Levi from Florida. If you're still watching, hello, and thank you so much for joining us for these Live Friday shows. I hope you find them to be interesting. And I know there's a lot to see and do on the internet and on screens and all that kind of thing, but I hope also you're spending a lot of your time reading books and learning great stories and reading poetry for yourself, and not just letting Jimmy here read it, even though you are quite the poet, Jimmy, and you read it very, very well. Now, next week, you can join us. Again, here's what our schedule is going to look like for the rest of our Live Fridays. We have, of course, next week is Why is Good Friday Good? We'll have a gospel presentation, so you can check that out. That's next Friday. And then the Friday after that, I will actually be, Jimmy, I don't know if you'll be there. Maybe you'll. We're going to be at the Ligonier Conference in downtown Orlando. And if you are familiar with Ligonier Ministries, and you might even be at the conference itself. So we'll be there, and I'll be there with my son. So stop by and say hello. And then the week after, we'll be back to our Live Friday, and it will be our episode 20. And I think actually that's our last regular Live Friday of the season. So we will have we'll do a little bit more special things, have a t-shirt giveaway, all that kind of neat stuff. But anyway, you'll see more updates for that. Boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us for these past 30 minutes. I hope that it's helpful to you. I hope that it's encouraging to you. That's what we like to do in this channel. Remember, entertain, educate, encourage, all those things. Anyway, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and Palm Sunday and everything going into this week. Remember to be focused on that. Think about the sacrifice of Jesus, all the events of Holy Week. I hope you have kind of family traditions and such that kind of help you to focus on that and things, or traditions at your church. Anyway, remember, boys and girls, what is your chief end according to the Westminster Confession? What is your chief end? Is to
glorify God and enjoy Him forever.
Glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Live Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday.
Well, there's so much to know and even more to see, from music and humor and poetry. We're so glad that you're here, and we hope that you stay. 'Cause our Live Friday show will always make your day. Live Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday. Live Friday.